I was just thinking this week that it seems like there's a lot of chaos going on in our world. Maybe that's just me. Has anybody else noticed maybe there's a little chaos in the world? It has a strange, what would you call it, symptom about it, or a side effect. I had two things happen in my life this week that have happened over and over in my life. It's just part of being a minister, part of being a grumpy old guy. But for some reason this week, I went off like Mount Vesuvius. I was driving in my car. Well, I'm going to tell him I'm not going to put up with that. I went berserk. And I kept hearing Vivian in the background. Patrick, you're letting it lose the calm peace of your soul. And it just, but I'm not the only one, I don't think. With all the chaos going on in our world, in every kind of facet, and just, it's everywhere. We are going to respond to that differently, every one of us. And the people around us, oh yeah, we're going to notice too. Everybody's going to be a little edgier. And I think perhaps we could spend some little bit of time every morning just reminding ourselves there is an emotional war going on around the face of this earth. And everybody's reacting to it differently. Number one, be patient with yourself and be patient with others. If there's anything you can do, I remember my grandmother says every time I lose my temper, Patrick, just count to 10 and it won't be so bad. And maybe we need to count to 10. Or maybe when we hear somebody just being a total jerk, we don't know what their life is like. We don't know how this madness all over our globe is affecting people. Everybody's finances are messed up. Groceries are off out of the. I gave up eggs for Lent, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, all of it. Just gave up eggs. It's just, we are all in a very unique point in history, in global history. I'm not just talking about our local politics, our country politics, in our whole globe. And that's going to affect us. So maybe let's just take a deep breath 3 or 4 times a day. And just, if you can remember what the grumpy old guy on Sunday said, just count to 10. Maybe that'll just help you just relax. And maybe be a little more patient with yourself and others. Something to ponder. So it is.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly.
Well, it's almost St. Patrick's Day, so my mini message is going to be, well, not about St. Patrick, but about some history that came from Ireland. On a KQED, there was a program showing a huge circular burial site in Ireland created over 5,000 years ago, well before Stonehenge, the Mayan and Egyptian pyramids, and long before Christianity. The scientists were able to date the site by the age of the many bones piled inside. Obviously, this site was not just for special rulers, as the many skeletons indicated it was the burial site for all who lived in the area at that time. I wish I had written down the name of the burial site, but at the time, I was focusing on the inferences drawn from what was discovered there. Also, I didn't know it was going to end up being a mini message. But what was shown and said was fascinating, so here I am sharing it with you as I remember it. The stone burial site was huge and on top of a hill with paths leading to it. A decorated wooden door opened up to a pathway of dirt tunnels that branched off into rooms. Both the inside and the outside wood and stones were covered with carved squiggles, lines, and circles, which the narrator suggested was some kind of code. Later, a similar burial site was found far from the original one with the same carved symbols, thus suggesting the writing to be of spiritual significance. It is surmised that 5,000 years ago people thought the earth as God, for the earth gave them food, water, and shelter. Since the earth was God, the dead were transported through the tunnels into rooms created in the earth so they could be closer to God. As I mentioned before, the interior tunnels and walls were covered with squiggles, lines, and circles to surround the dead. Nearby this circular stone gravesite, a very old tree grew that was 1,000 years ago. It was found buried in peat, nature's preservative. Scientists cut out a cross section of this preserved tree and found that during the same time period that the bones in this burial site were dated, the rings of this tree had been growing as expected. Then suddenly, the tree rings showed there was a period of approximately 100 years when this tree was stressed and barely surviving. This indicated that something in this time period had happened to the environment to cause the tree's stress. The theory is that a comet came close to Earth, affecting Earth's atmosphere, especially if sunlight was blocked out by cosmic dust. Whatever the source, the reason for climate change was atmospheric. It was during the same period that worship switched from the earth to the sky. Not understanding what was happening, early people made offerings to appease sky gods and goddesses. Mythologies and religions were created to worship a source from above. This TV program wasn't focused on what followed, but rather on the fact that very early people already had written symbols for their beliefs. The main message was that although religions come and go, the human desire for spirituality has always been with us, even at the earliest stages of humanity, even when the earth was believed to be God. Aren't we all blessed to live now and be here with each other, knowing that we are all expressions of God and have and always have had the Spirit within us?
Kelly, thank you very much. That was quite beautiful and quite timely.
Yes.
Well, good morning, everyone. Kelly reminded me it's almost St. Patrick's Day. That's like tomorrow, right?
Yes.
My name is Patrick Michael McCarty. And I'm going to share something with you today. Most of you probably don't know how to speak Gaelic. I'm going to teach you in 30 seconds. I'm going to teach you all how to speak perfect Gaelic. Repeat after me. Sure, 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 sure. There you have it. You learned something you didn't know. Well, good morning. I don't know, I'm just about to explode with gratitude and joy. And we are just, the rest of the world may be in chaos, but here at Church of the Oaks, we are in blessed abundance. It's just amazing. Over the last 6 or 8 months, we have been able to accomplish I'm guessing about $20,000 worth of improvements in our home. New floor, new kitchen. We even got it's not new, but it's a white stove instead of that beat up old black stove that we had. We're looking for a white refrigerator because pretty soon, along with our new kitchen, we're gonna have all new white paint and a new light fixture. It's a work in progress. What day did I go, Wayne? Was it maybe Tuesday? Tuesday or Thursday? Thursday, I would guess. I went and took our check to our attorney, and we have begun the reincorporation process, or the amendment process, and getting a 501c3 letter of something or other from the IRS. And that's going to lead to some really nice things. We'll be able to participate in some programs that will be financially rewarding to us as we go forward. And it's just amazing. Before I forget it, I'll just interject here. The ladies' spiritual book study will be not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, the 27th. And I'm not sure where it'll be at this point. But anyways, but I got to tell you a little something about all this abundance. Yesterday we had our first of the year scheduled work party. And 3 industrious, highly motivated, cheerful ladies showed up. Janet and Gloria and Joy. And they did our new kitchen with all the construction and all the stuff was toast, trash, ugly, filthy, messy. They cleaned the stove, the new replacement stove we got, they cleaned it, cleaned the kitchen, and it's amazing. And I'm going to ask for all of us to help join in something. If you will go over to the kitchen and look at it today and marvel at how cool it looks, you will see there's nothing in the dish drainer. There's nothing on the counters. It's clean, it's pristine. And when we leave today, everything that we use, let's lock it up, clean it up, and leave it clean. Because I'm going to be conducting a 2 or 3 week pep rally for clean and respect for all of our groups, all of our 12-step groups. And we're going to try to instill in them keeping the new everything clean and nice and respectful, and not just leaving dirty dishes piled up in the sink strainer with drippy coffee all over it. So if we could all work together and just leave this brand new kitchen just pristine, and we will see if we can't instill that kind of pride and motivation and respect and appreciation with all of our groups as we go forward. Wow. Anything else that I'm leaving out as far as announcements? Yes, Gloria.
Pizza afterwards.
Oh, we got pizza and donuts over there in the hall, don't we? So join us for lunch. We're gonna have like a potluck surprise interlude potluck. Any other announcements, Kelly?
Is this when we do the names of people who could use some blessings?
Okay, yes, we're gonna do that when all the announcements are done.
Okay.
We finished with that. And by the way, someone, and I don't know when, I checked that suggestion box back on the table pretty often, but I hadn't checked it in a little while. And I checked it last Friday when we were doing the red bell ringing, and there was a suggestion, a little comment that says, I really appreciate sending out our love and light at the end of announcements. Hopefully we can continue to do that. And I think that's a good thing. So now if all the yada yada announcements and stuff are over, if you know of anybody who's going through challenge, dark times, health issues, relationship issues, and if you just want some, just in a dark space, holler out their name, and we can direct collectively our light and our love and our healing. now we have that wonderful opportunity to greet each other in their 124-year-old tradition of Church of the Oaks.
Oh, you're one? He's the one. I know he's one. I'm the one from Minnesota. Oh, yeah. He's at shipmates.
What's that?
I'm doing fantastic. What's the matter?
And I'd like to help me cleanse. Have an inner cleanse. How's Wild Bill doing? The last couple times.
You just never know.
Couldn't hurt. Most people have. I'll give the old dog my best, okay? Okay, shoot that in there. I'm gonna close this back when you leave.
Thank you for your music. Yeah.
Pretty good.
That's what I wore this to work today. I just changed my shoes. That's what I wear to work. The vacuum. That's how I get away. It makes no sound.
Now it's the part where we celebrate our abundance, and I've been talking about abundance for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's everywhere. And it's all around us. And we keep sharing it, and it just keeps coming in. It's amazing. So let's just read together our affirmation of abundance, shall we? A consciousness of abundance is knowing that there is always enough. May we ponder that wisdom, sir. Thank you very much, Wayne. as we prepare for our meditation time this morning, let's sing together number 69 in the Winds of Song. Be still and know that I am God.
Good morning. I think, well, today I'm going to do a different kind of meditation that I think is appropriate for this day and age right now. So let these words resonate with you. Let me remember the path of my heart, the light in my soul, the force that drives the universe. How precious life is. Love is within everyone. My unique gifts and talents. Stars in the night sky. To accept life as it comes. To be true to myself. The beauty of this earth. To think good thoughts. That I am a part of everything. To face and release my fears. To nourish my soul. I have nothing to prove. In confusion, be still and listen. My progress. To love myself as much as I can. The pace of my life is my choice. The joy of giving and sharing. To cease judgment. To be deeply grateful. To honor and express my creativity. All that nature has given. To strive for calmness. To celebrate life. Namaste.
Janet. That was a lovely meditation. Thank you. You know, Tuesday or Wednesday morning, I think maybe it was Tuesday morning, it was like 10 after 7 and my phone rings. And it was Joelle back in Philadelphia. And we got to talking. And at 11 o'clock, we stopped talking. She had to go to work and do stuff. We had the most magnificent conversation. Everything from soup to nuts. We didn't talk about eggs. They cost too much. We just left them alone. But she and Mike are doing fine. Send their best to all of us. I don't know if Mike's coming, but she's coming to a wedding the last week in May 31st or something. She said, I'll probably see you guys. So, and she's kind of planning on being here on July 12th for Kids Day. But we were talking, they've been having the sicky Pennsylvania snow disease, you know. One gets sick and gets a cold, gives it to the other, and by the time you get well, the other one got it again and give it, and they've just been snotting and sneezing all winter long. But they're fine. But we were talking about the different things. You know, Mike's got some challenges, some health challenges, and work and family and all the other chaos. And I said, yeah, it's like there's a lot of bumps in this old road of life. And she said, boy, you can say that again. And something snapped inside of me, and I just cut loose on like a 45-minute oratory of analogy, levity, and profundity, spewed forth. And after a while, I came to a stopping place to catch a little air. And she said, Patrick, have you ever said those words before, or expressed that idea before? And I thought, I don't think I have. She said, you should talk about that some Sunday. And since I'm always looking for something to talk about, today is just the perfect day. So I'm going to talk about these bumps in the road. And I could be, has anybody here had a road with no bumps? Anybody at all? Well, I've got a lot of quotes. I went to Google, I said quotes about the bumpy roads of life. And it had all the same old quotes. There's one down there about adversity introduces a man to himself. Albert Einstein said that. And I read through all these quotes, and there were like hundreds of them. And I thought, they're all profound, they're all very meaningful, have a spiritual base to them. But in actuality, how many of us have said in the last year, you know, I wasn't real happy with that $200 speeding ticket, but I know that the universe is going to teach me something profound from that. I am thankful. Have anybody had that kind of reaction to the bumps? You know, there's a lot of great wisdom and stuff, but how are we going to whittle that down to something we can keep in our pocket, something that we can really identify? And I told Joelle, I said, I look at the bumps in the road just like those little bumps down the center lane and the little bumps on the right side. When you hit some bumps, that's to kind of wake you up, make sure you got two hands on the wheel so you don't run off the road and crash and burn. And I think that's something that we can kind of wrap our heads around. We get distracted, we get to yapping and talking and going off and thinking about, well, how horrible it is, I got this speeding ticket, and we're going, and pretty soon we hit some more bumps and we're too caught up in the bump and we run off the road and crash. But if we can look at those challenges, those tough spots, as a reminder, whoa, it's gonna be tough. 2 hands on the steering wheel, 10 to 4, and pay attention and keep track of where you're going, might help us get through the bumps a little better. I'm going to tell you a story, true story. Some of you have heard me talk about, I have a friend, she used to be in Ohio, now she lives in Indiana. She's not a girlfriend, she was assistant manager at a motel right next to the Masonic home my mother lived the last 11 years of her life at. And I stayed in that motel, and we became friends. We just started having conversation, and I loved my mother deeply, very deeply. And I did everything I could to make sure that everything was taken care of for her. But I didn't always like my mother so well. She had a personality in mind that just, after an hour and a half, I just liked either slap her or put my fist through the wall. So I'd go to the motel, take a break. And this lady, her name is Socorro. She was born and raised in Mexico City. She'd let me blow off. She said, well, what are you going to explode about now? And I just, and we'd laugh. And once every visit, we managed to have dinner together. And we developed over several years a great friendship. And she said, you know, I ought to come to California sometime. I've got a brother in San Francisco I haven't spoken to in 25 years. Maybe it's time to do a little repair work on that. So sure enough, her birthday is the 27th of January, and she came out for her birthday 6 years ago, maybe. She actually came to our annual meeting, and I took her down the next day to see her brother, and they did a little repair work. And so since then, about once a year, sometimes every other year, she comes, and she loves to go to the ocean, and we just hang out, and we just renew our friendship. And she just recently, on the 26th of January, the day before her birthday, she just got her first granddaughter. New grandmothers are one of the most special creatures ever created. There's nothing like it. What was it, Sarah Palin used to talk about, the mama bear? Can't hold a candle to a new grandma. She has very few limitations, great credit score, lots of plastic, time, and totally committed to guarding and spoiling this new grandchild, special granddaughter. So anyway, she was out last year, and we decided to go over and up the coast and see Mendocino and Fort Bragg. Went up to a big park just on the north end of Fort Bragg. And we had just a lovely day. And it was about evening, and she said something in a way that she had never said before. And it hurt my feelings badly. And part of this, as I thought about it, was my last wife took great advantage of me. And there were some real deep wounds that haven't really healed, but they scabbed up pretty good. Well, what Socorro had said to me kind of knocked the top off of one of those scabs. And I didn't react at first. I've learned, try not to react emotionally. I thought about it. So the next day we're going to head back, the next morning we're going to head back from Fort Bragg. And I said, you know, last night you hurt my feelings. And I've thought about it, and I'd like to talk about it. I'd like to understand why my feelings were hurt and why you said what you said. And her immediate reaction was, take me to the airport. I'm sorry, I don't want to hurt anybody feel. I said, no. Let's talk through this. Huge bump. We hadn't had many bumps in our friendship. Let's put our hands on the steering wheel and drive through this. And thank goodness we were in Fort Bragg. We had one of the most wonderful, exploratory, expanded awareness conversations I have ever had with another human being. Instead of our friendship being over because I got my feelings hurt and she had a negative reaction to saying that, our friendship now is stronger than it's ever been. And we're more aware of our little bruises and scabs and scars and soft places. And it helped us to be more aware, more considerate, more accepting, more honest, and more kind to each other. And I think that's why in all kinds of relationships, when we hit those bumps, if it's in our own life, or maybe as a couple, or maybe as friends, we hit bumps. We can't hardly avoid them. That's what we're supposed to have. That is what kind of sharpens us up, helps us evolve and step forward and learn and grow. But maybe if we just don't wreck the car, don't smash into the wall, don't upset the bus, just pay attention, slow down a little, and really steer through the bumps and the potholes and the hurts and the angers. I think that's more sense than just saying, oh, thank you for the parking ticket. I don't know what the good was yet, but I'm sure it'll come to me. All of us have bumps, sometimes huge challenges, health challenges, relationship challenges, financial challenges. Just hang on tight, grab that steering wheel, slow down, and stay on the road. Control how you're driving. You're driving your own bus. Control it. We have that power. We don't have to have a train wreck every time something goes wrong in life. There's another analogy I have about the bumps in the road and the challenges of life. I've been through some times, as everyone in here has, that were really, really painful. Grief from death of a loved one, divorce, friendships, having a car wreck and leaving. Just, we've all had these very, very hurtful experiences. And I heard this in a TED Talk 15 years ago. And I actually did a talk about it once. But these real hurtful pains, I heard a lady say, I look at them as labor pains. Because what the result is on these very hurtful experiences we go through is we give birth to a new level of understanding, a new level of awareness, a new level of trust, a new level in our relationship where we can talk through problems instead of yelling and screaming. A new level of acceptance, being able to accept some of the bumpy stuff and the nasty stuff that life just shows up at your doorstep. Labor pains. We're going to give birth. It's a painful process, but the result, just like these beautiful little girls here, can be just amazing. Just amazing. So maybe I don't have any answers, but I look for ideas to share every week about little practices or little ideas or an analogy of how to get through life a little less painlessly without having the major wrecks, the major breakdowns, without living months and months and months as a victim. We all get victimized for a moment, all of us. We don't have to stay there. We can keep our hands on the wheel. We can drive slow through the bumpy roads, and we can get back on the course of life, back on the journey, having learned something, having expanded our awareness, being able to be maybe a little more forgiving, a little more understanding, a little more patient. So I'm going to invite each of you to think about your bumpy roads. And do you just let the bumps knock you off course and wind up in the ditch? Or do you just kind of put both hands on the wheel, slow down a little bit, and drive through the bumps and the potholes? Go on, learning a little, just at least being thankful, well, we made it through that bad stretch. But knowing there'll be another bad stretch. And the more practice we get going through these bumps, the better at we get at driving, at staying on course. So, outside of a few bumps and a few potholes, my life is amazing. And I am sure that your lives are amazing too. And the reason they're so cool is because you've had bumps and potholes that have taught you lots of stuff. Every one of us in here knows stuff that nobody else in here knows from going through the bumps and the challenges and the pain and the heartache of this life experience. When we sit here as family, we can share what we've learned. We can share some ideas. You know, we share our light and our love and our healing power throughout the whole universe. And I think we can surely share ideas we have that have helped us get through the bumpy roads, that have been through the scary times and the health challenges. Every one of us has done that. And everyone in here is going to have those show up in their lives, part of the life experience. And we're here to give each other a hug and a hand and an ear. Listen, really listen. Maybe you know something that might make the bumpy road a little less bumpy for your fellow family member here. Well, as Wayne tells me, I've said it and I've said it again and then I've said it again. So I think I've said it all I need to said it. So let's stand up today and sing. It's what a wonderful world, because it is. It's full of learning, it's full of love, it's full of excitement, it's full of pain, and it's full of pizza and donuts. So let's sing it, maestro.
start our amen, could we get a couple of volunteers to help Evelyn take the flowers back out to her car when we're all done? So, amen.